Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren. Theme of new beginnings. Obviously, we're here at the brand spanking new Peacock Gym. What do you make of it, Frank, and how do you compare it to the existing Peacock in Canning Town?
Well, the old Peacock was it's a historical building as far as boxing is concerned. It was a fantastic gym. Lots of great fighters have been through there, but this is taking it to another level. You know, Tony and Martin have done a fabulous job here. The facility is great, and I'm sure you'll do some filming on it, but it's brilliant, and it couldn't be better for the quality fighters that they've got here as well. I'm sure they'll be delighted. They'll probably even get more out of them by feeling so special in the environment they've created for them.
You've got Daniel Dubois, who's obviously the most celebrated member of the Peacock stable. Very exciting young stable, don't mean to discount any of the other lads. He's in action this Saturday. Big fight, replacement opponent, could be a potential banana skin. Just clarify for us, a lot of people have asked, what happened with Eric Pfeiffer and led to him being replaced by Ricardo Snijders?
Well, I did show on a couple of interviews I've done yesterday, I haven't got it with me today, but we had two. I've got to go back to the Wallish fight. With the Wallish fight, they produced all the medicals as were required, an MRI scan. We got through last Monday from his Pfeiffer's people came through an MRA, which is not good enough. The board has to have an MRI, and we're at a stage now where getting him in, getting the MRI, making sure it's safe, that if anything had gone wrong, we wouldn't have been able to go ahead. So that's why we had a standby opponent and we brought him in, and that's down to them. That's their fault. They should have got their medicals in. Remember, he came over here, what was it, 8 weeks, probably more, 8 weeks ago, for a press conference. They've had all that time. It's taken them so long to get and send us the wrong information. So it's very disappointing. For Pfeiffer, I'm disappointed because we wanted to fight, but that's down to them. And we can't push the fight back to accommodate them getting their MRI and so forth to conform with the board's regulations and quarantines and so forth. Because we're hoping Daniel comes through, because we got the fight booked on the 24th of October between him and Joe. So there's no way we can keep pushing it back. We won't give him enough time, Daniel, to get ready for that fight. So that's what happened. So in the meantime, he's fighting this guy, Schneider, and that's where we're at.
Tell us how good Ricardo Snijders is.
His record is 18-1. He boxed as a cruiser. He's gone up to heavyweight. I think in his last fight, the fight before last, he's got a winning record. He fancies the fight. It's a big opportunity for him. Daniel, for me, is a big favourite. He's a big favourite for me against anyone who he fights, or most people who he fights. And I expect him to do the business. That's the type of fighter he is. I don't think anybody at the moment can take his explosive power that he's got. So for Snyder, as he said, it's a great opportunity for him to come over and upset the odds. See another banana skin on Saturday. We nearly had one with Tyson Fury when he got that bad cut. Anything can happen with these big lumps. It just can happen. I hope it don't happen, obviously, and I don't want anything to upset the fight that we've got planned for him and Joe on the 24th of October.
Now, you obviously presented a list of potential cross-promotional fights to Eddie Hearn a few weeks ago. Latest we heard, you guys are going to sit down at some point next month once fight camp's out of the way, which it now is. But one of those fights, I don't know if it's become more or less likely from the result of the weekend, with Dillian Whyte surprisingly getting stopped, or knocked out in fact, by Alexander Povetkin. One of the fights on your list was of course Daniel Dubois against Dillian Whyte. Does him losing make that fight more or less likely in your view?
Well, look, apparently he's got a rematch clause which they're trying to invoke for November, which is crazy anyway. He's had a bad knockout, so the Boxing Board of Control will insist, I think it's a minimum of a month anyway before he can even 20. But for a knockout like that where you're giving oxygen, I would think it'd be longer. So why would anybody who cares about a boxer, and I'm sure Dillian Whyte would fight him tomorrow, but the people who are supposed to be looking after his career, that's the people around him, his trainers, managers and promoters, should ensure that doesn't happen until he's fit and able to box. And even if he does fight him again, and even if he does beat Povetkin, which I think now is going to be quite interesting, because let me tell you, Povetkin's not a slouch. He's not stupid. He's got a great amateur background, great pedigree, as we all know, and I'm quite sure he feels he's got he showed that he can knock him over, so he knows where he's at. And he thinks in beating Povetkin, it goes back to straight away that he's the next one in within 3 months. That ain't going to happen. That position's dead. The WBC have already said Povetkin is the mandatory, but It's in a year's time, and that will be the same anyway. So it's not gonna that is not going to happen. He's not going to be jumping in and thinking he's going to get Tyson if he beats Wilder straight after, or the winner of Tyson and Wilder. That's not going to happen. That ship sailed. It was a stupid move that they made, but that's what they did. This is a fella, 1,000 days turned down God knows how many chances of fighting for world titles, and even lost his number one position to a fellow stablemate, or whatever you want to call him, in Usyk. You look at it and it's like a recipe for disaster. I don't understand any of it, but anyway, it's not my business, that's their business. But all I care about is Tyson Fury and where he's at. And so that obstacle, which was a big obstacle that was being, not from our perspective, but from the others kept putting up, is gone. That's out the way now. So it's another barrier broken down so we can get the fight on between Tyson and AJ. That's the fight we all want to see.
Presumably that would be after Tyson Wilder, which you're still hoping is the end of this year, and AJ's rescheduled fight with Kubrat Pulev towards the end of this year, despite Bob Arum's proclamations that it's going to be another upset.
I've got to tell you something. I've seen, I know what AJ's capable of, but I know what his weaknesses are, and they were seriously exposed in the States. They were exposed by Ruiz. He exposed them. So we know what they are. Anything can happen. Me, I'd prefer neither of them have these fights. I really would. I mean, we're contracted for the fight or Tyson's contracted for his fight against Wilder. I'd prefer we didn't have to do that, but we have to do it, and we'll get it out of the way by hook or by crook this year. And provided Tyson comes through, which I expect him to do, because as much as upsets happen in boxing, I don't know, I can't see what Wilder can do any different than he's done in his previous two fights. Unless he catches him absolutely with the biggest knockout punch ever, that's the only way I can see him stopping Tyson. He's not going to outbox him, and Tyson got off the floor having taken his best shot. And that's the difference between levels. That's what he couldn't do on Saturday. White couldn't get off the floor on Saturday. He was gone. That's the difference. Tyson got up.
If Dillian Whyte gets through the rematch against Povetkin, whether that's a wise decision or not, and if Daniel gets past both Ricardo Snijders and Joe Joyce, that's 3 ifs already, I know, but is that a fight that could still happen, Dillian against Daniel, maybe early next year?
Yeah, if he fights Povetkin again, let's make that straight away. I wanted to make it now. What I see, look, that's not happened. What happened on Saturday is something I've seen in other fights with him. He's been caught and gone on the floor, got up, very big heart, got off the floor against Rivas, AJ. He's been there. I see the wars he had with Derek. First fight, I thought Derek won it. I thought he won it, Chisora. But it was a competitive fight, and I see that in the second fight he was behind until he clipped Chisora. Having said that, you've got to look at Tyson and Derek Chisora and what he did with him. So there are levels. I would fancy against either of those two guys, whatever way you want to look at it, both Daniel and Joe Joyce. However way you want to look at it, with any of those, I would do that in a heartbeat with them two fighters. In a heartbeat, do that. Get their whatever they're doing out of the way, and would make those fights no problem at all.